It's Black History Month, and I'm here with Larry Thomas, writer, radio announcer, lecturer, and we're talking about a very sensitive subject that you're very knowledgeable about. We're talking about the Wilmington coup, the massacre of 1898. I mean, it's something that, as a Durham native, I grew up in North Carolina, I didn't learn about it until I came to Wilmington. Talk a little bit about the significance and what it meant during those times to now. Well,
growing up in Wilmington, we heard about it. The older people would talk about it, but they would talk about it in whispers. It wasn't until I got in grad school that I really found out about it. You know, they have these seminars in grad school where they sit around and talk about history. And so everything has to have a significance. And the significance of the 1898 event, it was actually a coup d'etat, the only example of a coup d'etat in America. And it was actually a massacre. It was not a race riot. That's a misnomer. It wasn't a race riot. It was a coup d'etat and a massacre. But the historical significance is that it ushered in the white supremacist movement of the 20th century and the 21st century. What I like to point out is that the plus of this whole situation was, now here you have these people who were former slaves from 1865 to the 1890s. They were able to attain economic power, economic status, political status, and social status. There were some African Americans.
Was it an election though? It was an election that kind of sparked it.
Yes.
So talk about like what, you know, it's a typical day and you have, you know, as you mentioned, slaves are now free men.
Right.
That are now able to have jobs and they're working and they have homes and businesses, like the Wilmington Journal and so forth.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you have an election. Who was elected that sparked the outrage in the coup d'etat that followed?
Well, what happened was, if you were a part of the Confederacy, you couldn't vote. They took away the right to vote. So what happened was the Republican Party at that time and what was known as the Populist Party were able to join hands and come together and vote for their people and put their people in office. That's how a lot of these African Americans became office holders. You had 4 African Americans on the Board of Aldermen. You had doctors. You had lawyers. And these people, I mean, the point I was trying to make was after 1865 to the 1890s, to actually have people in those positions was remarkable.
And what happened?
Well, the people who were in control before the Civil War didn't like it.
And what did they do?
They overthrew the government.
And there are letters, I've been to events from some of the, you know, the descendants who have read letters that describe, you know, murder, mass murder, killings, that there were blacks that had to jump in the river or try to get away or they were murdered, that their houses were burned down.
Yes, it was a horrible event. But it has international implications. International implications.
Where are we now? And I hear so many people say that had this not happened, now we'd be in Atlanta or we'd be Charlotte.
No question about it.
Where are we now in Wilmington because of this?
Well, I see a lot of people are recognizing it now, which is very good. But my whole thing is compensation for the people who were robbed. That's what I have been stressing. I created an organization in 2003.
What's it called?
It's called ICRO. In this organization, we went out and solicited and found the people who were descendants of the victims.
Still so much to learn about. Again, we're talking about the Wilmington coup, the massacre of 1898. Larry Thomas, thank you for stopping by. This is just scratching the surface, which is why Wilmington on Fire, movies like that allow people to learn so much more about this. We're hoping it gets in every classroom across the country because you can't go into the future unless you know your past.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir, for stopping by. We have much more Black History moments and educational lessons weeknights on WWY CBS at 7.